For this week's TLDR, we're going to talk about something a little bit more personal. Since we've been living in Korea for over 7 years now, we've been really thinking about how living abroad, how being an expat has changed us personally. And I'm not just talking about having more stamps in your passport, but what it has changed about our personalities and our perceptions of life.
First issue, the struggle of reconnecting with your family and friends living back home. Whether you're just returning from a vacation to your home country and you're planning on coming back abroad again, or if you're actually making the move back home, there are a lot of struggles people have. We find that like day 1 and day 2 back home are okay because your family and friends are usually really excited to hear like stories and they want to see pictures, so they want to know all about your life living overseas. But that eventually starts to change, and by eventually I mean like
Day two. And eventually you have to just reintegrate back into society that you left before. But the real issue is that you living abroad for a while has really changed how you view the current society that you're back in.
And we don't mean like suddenly you're like judging everything. It's just that we've been living in Korea for so long that our everyday life is Korea. It's not a vacation. It's not like we went to Korea for 2 weeks and here's what we want to tell you about it. It's like we are used to sitting on the floor now. We're used to eating food with certain spices in it. And so now like our favorite Canadian food is incredibly salty.
Right.
Like, inedible, we can't even eat it.
We're used to being very comparative now. Instead of just taking everything for granted as is, we always think about it as like, oh, here's how it is here, but here's how it is elsewhere as well. So we can't turn that switch off.
Yeah, and then the problem happens is that you end up becoming that person who seems like that obnoxious, like, well, in Korea,
In Guatemala.
you clearly never had guacamole because you've never been here. And that's not what you're trying to do. I would say that our friends and family are quite good with it because a lot of our friends are friends that we made now in Korea that have moved to our home cities, and you'll find that your circle of friends will start to become people who have lived abroad, but other friends, it can be really, really hard to keep that connection going.
The second concept that really changes when you've been living abroad is your ideas of friendship. I know that moving away from your home country, the most challenging part is the idea of leaving your friends and family behind. Your core group, your little bubble that you're so comfortable with, you're not going to see them anymore and you're going to have to develop new friends. But you also want to kind of rethinking how close you are with your new friends, because if you've been in another country for a long time the way we have, you see friends come and go so quickly. People are here for 1 year, people are here for 2 years, and you might form really good friendships in those 1 or 2 years, but then when they move away, there's a good chance that you will never see them again.
You might talk to them, like on messenger services and email, but it's not the same as having someone to go out with for food or dinner or partying.
The idea of closeness really changes as well. We really sympathize, this is gonna sound silly, with vampire movies now, because whenever you hear about people converting to being vampires, you're always like, the worst part is that you see your friends and family die as they age and you don't. We kind of feel that on a smaller level here because we have friends here that essentially leave Korea and die because we never see them again.
And the thing
in
is
a
that,
small sense of a way.
Yeah, not that you're not close with them, like you can still stay close with them, but there's something different than going out and sharing something with people who are like-minded and then just not having them anymore.
Sunlight burns us.
That's always burned me.
What burns you more than me? I just tan nicely.
Is that what you sound like as a vampire? You can never become a vampire. It's really unsexy.
No, well,
you know
if
what I call you?
Dante.
Yes, exactly what I was gonna say.
I'm the vampire Dante.
Marshmallow.
Esmeralda.
No, I don't want to be Esmeralda. I want to be Marshmallow, fiercest vampire in the East. I'm sparkly and I'm super white.
And pasty.
I love the nighttime and I'll burn your fire.
And a little puffy.
Wait a second.
The next concept that we find really interesting is our idea of otherness that has really changed from being other in Korea.
You made this extremely vague. Please continue, Simon.
Well, because when we were in Canada, we never really thought about being Canadian.
You're born in Canada.
Yes,
you just
you're born and
raised.
Your nationality is just something that you oftentimes take for granted. But now that we've been living here in Korea and that 97% of Korea is Korean people, we really notice, we really feel what it's like to not be a part of the country.
And it's like you're kind of reminded all the time that you're not part of the country for many different ways. Like the obvious one would be like
we don't look like Korean people.
Yeah, so like just recently we went to the DMV in Korea to get my international license. And Simon and I walked in, we're wearing like our cute Korean couple clothing, and like I got my sunbrella, and then I looked around the room and it was
2 of these things are not like the others.
People are always concerned, like, if I come to Korea, are people gonna like stare at me? Like, you might get people looking at you, but it's not like a malicious thing. But when you live here, it starts to kind of wear at you, you know, like when you walk up to the stoplight and the people beside you say in Korean, "Mom, look, it's a foreigner.
They must be American."
And then you're like, so you correct them in Korean.
Right.
Eventually you just give up on that.
But that also makes us rethink what it's like to be Canadian again, because like my parents are immigrants. They came to Canada when they were in their late 30s. And for me, I was born in Canada, I grew up in Canada, but I never really understood what my parents went through.
The struggles.
Now that I've been living in Korea for like close to a decade now, it really makes me appreciate more what my parents went through in order to go to a new country, to leave their families behind, to try to start a new life. That's a very big challenge, and I have a lot more respect for them now as a result.
Not to mention, they spoke Polish,
Yes.
came to Canada and had to learn English
Exactly.
in their late 30s. That's crazy.
It's challenging. So now that whenever we go back to Canada, if we speak with other people that are relocating to Canada, then I have a little bit more sympathy for them, something that I never actually thought about before actually living in another country.
Yeah, it's made us have a bigger understanding of people's otherness. The last thing we want to talk about is a little bit more materialistic, and that is taking care of your possessions, something that we definitely took for granted when living in Canada. Let's say your bra strap snaps in half, or your underpants are so old that the band has shredded off the bottom.
Let me just make this clear.
What?
This has never actually happened to me. This has happened to Martina.
Listen.
Just make that clear line of divide.
Lots of girls have
grossness versus not grossness.
Lots of girls
here.
have favorite underpants that are super comfortable and fit perfectly, and then one sad day you put them on and your band just pulls off or your thumb goes through it. It's impossible for me to replace those underpants in Korea because nothing fits my giant ass. The problem is I can't just go and replace them, which is something I took for granted in Canada. Now if my underpants disintegrate off my body or my shoes break, I am super screwed.
So what winds up happening as a result is the comforts that we've grown up with. When we try to have those comforts here, we appreciate them more. We take care of them a lot better than we would have back in Canada, where we just take them for granted. If something broke, we could just replace it easily. Here we're a lot more careful.
Yes, careful with everything, which has given me like a major appreciation for having something in my size. Or even like your makeup skin tone. I know a lot of girls that come here will complain that they can't find the right tone for their skin. If your skin is lighter or darker, like literally just those two extends, you can't find makeup for you. Simon's like, I know, I can't find makeup for my skin.
Totally.
And even something on the cooking level, like spices, like I really took for granted the idea of going to the store to get the stuff that I needed to make chicken soup. Like, I'm sick, I need chicken soup. That's just not happening here. Like, you have to bring it with you or have it with you, but how can you predict what you're gonna miss from home until you miss it?
Exactly.
So-
Until you feel the lack, then you can't really know what you're going to need. We're going to talk a little bit more philosophically in our blog post about nesting and possessions and about how your concepts of holidays change as well from living abroad. So make sure you click on the link here if you want to get more deep and profound and all that kind of sweet stuff.
So here's our question for you today. If you have lived abroad, and I don't mean like a week overseas, I mean like living in another country, how has your perspective changed and has it affected your life when you moved back home?
Or if you haven't traveled abroad, if you do know people who have lived overseas, how have you found that they've changed when they came back? Because we're speaking from our perspective. What's it like from your perspective?
You call this bibimbap? You've obviously
Obviously.
never been to Busan.
Hey, we're going to be going to Canada and the US next week, so none of this is really going to apply. We're going to buy all the things we need.
No, it will apply because we only have so much space in our luggage for my underwear.
I'm just going to be very surprised to be back in Canada and to
Yeah.
experience a lot of things that I'm just like,
Never
hey,
been to Vancouver
I
City.
know.
I'm really excited.
Hey, next week.
Listen, I am looking for underpants that will fit me and that will not shrink when I wash them. I'm
Yes.
sick of it. I'm sick of coming back to Korea and being like, and now you won't cover my butt crack. And I suffer with you for a
Hey,
year.
it's summertime. You need to go commando.
It's like a hot summer breeze.
When you're going commando.